Welcome back, guys. We got a good one. We're going to be going over Ariel Helwani, his contract's ending for Vox and Spotify, and going to be what his next career change is going to be. Then we're going to be going over GSP, is he Natty or not, and how he wants to reform the drug testing for the UFC. With that, guys, let's get right into it. Ariel Helwani changing up his career.
It's Ariel. I'm still actually in Europe, as you could probably tell or not. I'll be here for a little bit, but I did want to come on here and update everyone on some stuff going on with my career. A couple months ago, I mentioned that the majority of my contracts are coming to an end on August 15th. August 15th is right around the corner, and so I thought it would be good to update everyone. And so, this has been an incredible 3-year stretch post ESPN. I got to do a lot of cool things with a lot of great people, and in particular, my contracts with both Vox Media and Spotify came to an end or are coming to an end on August 15th. And after many months of contemplating and dissecting and thinking about what the next move should be, I decided to move on from both companies. Like I said, it's been an unbelievable 3 years. I honestly couldn't have dreamt of a better scenario post ESPN than this, working for two incredible companies filled with incredible people. And so I'll start with Vox. Obviously, my history with them is a lot longer than with Spotify's. And when I came back, it just felt like being home again. It felt like a warm blanket with a lot of the same people, the same studio, the same control room, the same office, and it was just so great to meet new colleagues, to reunite with old colleagues, to bring back the old show, to do it my way was amazing. I felt like I got my voice back, I got my confidence back. It just felt right. And the main reason I went back there was because of the studio and the people. And both didn't let me down, and very hard to leave. Very hard to move on. Vox offered me an amazing opportunity to stick around and to take the next step in my life and career. A very, very, very good opportunity, and it was incredibly hard to say thank you, but no thank you. And I love everyone there. I wish them well. And who knows? It's a crazy world. Perhaps we will be reunited again. Both the people who work at Vox Media, and in particular MMA fighting, which I will always hold very near and dear to my heart. Everyone there is so good at their jobs. Still one of the very best websites for combat sports in the world, and proud of how far it has come and what it continues to do. So I obviously wish everyone there the very, very best. And so, it's tough to leave. It's tough to say goodbye. But this is how life is. As far as Spotify goes, what an opportunity to work with some amazing people over there as well, to reunite with my old friends, to do a show. The Spotify Live platform was very kind to us. And I will cherish those memories. And also because it allowed me, for the first time in my career, to connect with people, to connect with fans in a sort of real-time setting. To work, under the legendary Bill Simmons is an opportunity and a memory that I will always cherish as well. And I was just really proud to work for that company, to work under the Ringer umbrella. Very inspiring, just amazing. And they too offered me an unbelievable opportunity, a great offer that was equally hard to turn down. But I'm very thankful and very grateful, and I appreciate them. And again, who knows what the future holds, where we might meet again. And so both of them were very generous and very thoughtful, and that it really does mean a lot to me. And others were as well. Spoke to other people, other entities that were very, very thoughtful and extremely generous. And I can tell you about them all at a later date. Right now, I am not ready to announce what the next step is, what the next chapter will be. It is one that I'm incredibly excited about.
Buzz Brands offers a wide variety of high quality, low cost, and low dose THC options. It's made for the functional person who uses THC, whether it's to enhance life, for pain, or for mood. They have energy drinks, my personal favorite, gummies, shots, and ice creams, guys. Whenever you make a purchase, enter Bear in the notes. On August 25th, I'll pick 2 or 3 of y'all, and we'll send y'all a huge care package of random items from Buzz Brands, guys. That's buckabuzz.com. Enter Bear in the notes. Let's get back to the show. Okay, guys, you heard it right there. Ariel's stepping down from his media conglomerates and his partners, primarily being Fox and MMA Media. Now we won't see Ariel probably in his very recognizable studio anymore. If it is my guess, like he says, he does not want to go with these same partners. I think Ariel has enough of his own credence, popularity, and fan base that he can make his own studio, have his own production, and his own ecosystem, so that way he can be his own boss. He can do his own thing and not have to bend to whatever, the media or the bosses want him to do. And so I think that's probably going to be Ariel Helwani's next move. Comment down below, what do you think is going to happen next? He is right now the most valuable guy in MMA, like broadcasting or reporting, whatever you want to call it. But I think if he was smart, he would do it on his own, make his own studio, his own hours, be his own boss. And I think that's what's next for Ariel Helwani. I thought that was a pretty interesting one. Now we're going to turn around and change gears. This is something I'm more excited to talk about. This is going to be GSP talking about the steroid practices and protocols of the UFC, how he wants to see them change, and then we're going to talk about, is GSP on steroids? So let's go and click play.
Pierre talks about UFC testing. Back in the day, Georges St. Pierre was one of the more influential voices in the campaigns for the UFC to expand drug testing in MMA. And following the UFC split with USADA last year, the legends outlined again why it's important to have third-party organizations running drug testing. If you're a longtime fan of MMA, you know that GSP was one of the first big stars to publicly express concerns about performance-enhancing drugs in the sport. The UFC had relied on athletic commission testing, but critics questioned how effective that testing was, given that fighters could cycle on and off PEDs, depending on when they fought. Well, all that changed with the USADA program. So much so, the organization was eventually accused of having invasive and overboard testing. Then, late last year, it was announced that UFC was ending its partnership with USADA and would be working with Drug Free Sport International moving forward. So, when GSP recently appeared on Theo Von's podcast, the issue of PEDs came up. The Canadian star credited the UFC for implementing more rigorous testing, but reminded people why it needs to be independently run.
I mean, it was just at the time it was insane, and I'm glad that UFC did this. I didn't want to bring UFC down. That was not my intent when I did this. I wanted to elevate the sport, and I'm glad they did it. I think it elevated the sport, and now. Yeah, they're not with USADA anymore, but I think they hire another organization to do the tests now. But I do believe that if you want to avoid corruption, it needs to be a separated entity that do the test than the organization itself. If the organization has power in order, like in the testing, it's corrupted.
Now, in theory, that certainly makes.
Okay, so everyone's like, why is GSP the guy to be saying this? If you're a old school UFC fight fan, you've been watching them for a long time, it threw me off when GSP would be at the press conference saying, hey, we need, more stringent drug testing. We need independent drug testing. And I'm like, have you seen this guy? Let's see. And, geez Louise, it's like, okay, this is the guy claiming, to be Mr. Natural right here. So it was always a little bit hard for me. Now, going into that, what is the difference between, USADA versus just, the UFC drug testing their fighters every now and then? The main thing is location and frequency. So, if you're just going to drug test your fighters once a year, they can prepare and plan for that. USADA, what they did is they would show up to your doorstep, to your place of business, wherever you were at, because you would give them your schedule like a diary so they could show up at any time to drug test you. So some guys were getting drug tested like hundreds of times, literally a year at like 4 a.m. And so it got a little bit out of hand. The UFC, I believe, cut ties with USADA for Conor McGregor to come back. All for Conor McGregor to, in my opinion, never fight again. So back on this with GSP, man, I'm looking at it. It's like, how can this guy be natural, right? And so I'm looking at his stats, but we got to remember what type of person GSP is. And I have this great video from one of the guys on his team. I'm not super familiar for who this guy is specifically, but watching this video, in the beginning, they did say he was on GSP's team. And listen to the type of stringent person GSP was. Let's go ahead and click play on this.
George hired Vada to test himself and his opponents. Paid out of pocket. It was an out-of-pocket expense. It was an out-of-pocket expense. Now, we wanted Johnny Hendricks to test with Vada, and Vada's protocol was that they post the results, no matter what the result is.
Yeah.
They post it. It's out of your hands. Once they test you, that's it. It's completely out of your hands. It's random. It's and I was on the call with the Johnny Hendricks camp. It was me, the UFC, their lawyers, our management from George's team, Johnny Hendricks' management, and we're trying to make a deal where we're all going to sit down and make sure everybody's happy. And they wouldn't agree to VADA testing. They wanted the Nevada State Commission to test him. Johnny didn't trust nobody with his. They don't want to do anything with VADA, and UFC didn't want to deal with VADA. I assume there's like a political beef. I offered to pay from my own pocket.
So if that just goes to show you, GSP is trying to get USADA to test himself and the fighters and also have independent testing. So he's just trying to get tested from everywhere by everyone. And back in the day, before they even had USADA, UFC, Mr. Hendricks is like, I'm not getting tested by them. And obviously steroids were more rampant back then than they are now. But remember, guys, It all comes down to how can the UFC test you. So also think about like in the Olympics, because they use USADA too, the same, stringent protocols, how people get away with it. If you're living in the fucking mountains, they're not going to be able to come 4 times a freaking week at 4 a.m. if you're looking all saucy and juicy. Like, it's just not gonna happen, okay? Like, if Paulo Costa lived in Dagestan, I'm telling you, Paulo Costa would not be getting drug tested as many times as he did, where he'd have to bring out the secret juice little can to kind of rub it in their face. So now, when we're getting into George St. Pierre, if you don't know who was speaking here, this is More Plates, More Date on his podcast. If you don't know Derek from More Plates, More Dates, he is one of the most respected guys when it comes to the hormonal, androgenic, anabolic, hormonal, PED kind of field. He is an expert when it comes to all things anabolic substances. I've heard him do a Natty or Not on GSP, saying that he believes he is natural. And the more I look into GSP, he's 5'11", 185 pounds, absolutely in great shape. I believe this guy is natural because I tried looking up at his body from high school to college to now, looking for insane transformations, and I just couldn't do it. Like, look at this. From 20 to 40 years old, guys. I mean, it's not that big of a difference. And if you've never had, like, muscles or been swole or jacked before, done, like, PEDs or just worked out hard for a long time, looking at these, you might be like, oh, that's a huge difference. But no, all it is, one guy is pumped and the other guy isn't, and one guy has downlighting, and it is also edited a little bit. So it's just better conditions, so your body can literally change depending how much glycogen, so how many carbs, salt, water you're eating, then obviously the type of workout you do, getting pumped up, and then having downlighting, and then editing. But to me, it's the exact same bodies here. I promise you, if the body on the left was pumped up, filled with carbohydrates, salt, water, and downlighting, it would look just like that body, if not better. Now, remember, just because GSP looks like this naturally does not mean you can. And it's funny that GSP was so against steroids. For someone like GSP, who did you fight that was like bigger than you? Like visually and aesthetically and muscular speaking, like on a musculoskeletal relationship ratio relationship. Like, who were you fighting that was so much bigger than, like, he needs to be tested. GSP, the only reason you are that big, I am not taking away all your hard work, dedication, but is your genetics. If 100 people were to do the exact same regimen, the exact same weight as you, maybe 1 to 2 other people would look exactly like you. And guys, that is just the name of genetics. If you're like, what is genetics? It is just essentially how your body responds to muscles, how the muscle bellies develop, your hypertrophy, like how fast your muscles grow. It can also be to PEDs. How does your body react to PEDs? I'm not saying GSP's on them. I'm just saying it's part of genetics. So in bodybuilding, when you see guys, there might be guys like, oh my God, I just feel like he gets so much bigger. He's so much leaner than me. He has better genetics, or she has better genetics than you. Now, getting into PEDs, I don't think that PEDs need to be banned from the UFC. This is going to be an extremely unpopular topic. A lot of people are going to get onto me this. I don't care. Think about baseball, football, basketball, all those sports. Look at the athletes 50 years ago, 40 years ago. What are the plays, the highlights? What's different? It's performance-enhancing drugs. Obviously, nutrition, coaching, all that has gotten better, but steroids play the biggest part of it. How do people now in the UFC take steroids? If you don't know this or you're ignorant to this, so many UFC athletes take steroids. Think about everyone in the Dagestan team. You remember when it came out that they were shooting them up with a secret sauce for all these years and they never got caught? That's because people in USADA aren't going to Dagestan to go do the testing. They're not going to go to Sweden in the mountains. They're not going to go to the, in the backcountry in Australia. They're not going to go deep into like Guadalajara in Mexico, in the like, it's just not happening in certain places. So you can absolutely take steroids or PEDs and get around it. Also, stuff can come out of your body. So if you might, get tested here in a day or two, you take short ester or things with a short half-life that get out of your body quickly. There's also other things like growth hormone peptides that you can take that aren't traceable or aren't traceable yet to USADA. There's just so many ways you can get around it, guys. It's not even funny. But for me, I'm all for steroids in a sport if we quit testing for them. The guys are already taking them. They're already doing it. Look at how many guys in the UFC, just use your common sense in your eyes. Basically, if you think that guy looks like he's probably on steroids, a good chance is that he is on steroids. It's common sense. Also, If you think that lady at the gym, she looks kind of jacked, with a little bit of veins and some abs, she's probably on Anavar. That guy at the gym, your buddy, super big, vein pop, he's probably on pro hormones or some type of substance, guys. It's just common sense. I'm not going to be a baby about it. I'm going to be an adult about it. I think it'd be awesome if we would quit drug testing these guys. Just let them take PEDs, help them recover faster. I'm not even saying just perform better, but dude, they're literally breaking down their bodies. You can't even go through fight camp uninjured. I couldn't do it as an amateur boxer. Imagine being a professional MMA guy where you're taking shins and knees and elbows, right? Imagine how messed up you'd be during fight camp, Have the guys be able to take the stuff through doctor supervision, safely, through prescription, to recover better, guys. That is my 2 cents. I'm leaving it here. If you got any entertainment out of this, give me a like, give me a subscribe. It really helps out. September 1st, I'm going to go through all my subscribers, send you a pack of custom Pro V1 golf balls with your YouTube handle on them. If you don't like that, you're over the age of 21, I will send you something from Buzz Brands. They offer amazing energy drinks with only 5 ingredients with pure THC Delta 9 made from legal hemp matter, legal in all 50 states. Visit all my links down below in the description for all my sponsors. I love y'all. I'm out. Peace.